So you remember that fantastic post-Brexit trade deal that Kemi Badenoch, whatever her name is, kind of threw around saying that, oh, it's going to make such a big difference for us. Turns out it's worth even less than what was officially predicted at the time. I'm going to read into this from The Independent, you guys. Let's go. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is REGANELITE here with an article from The Independent with the headline that the flagship post-Brexit trade deal worth even less than ministers' claims, official estimates have now shown. The Independent revealed earlier this year that the government predicted a 0.08% boost, risk being an overestimate. What was it that we got? What was the percentage difference? What was it? 5%? Was it even more when we had with the EU? 0.08%, and it's actually predicted to be even less than that, apparently. Like, talk about like rubbing salt into the wounds here. And I remember the interview when she was trying to defend it, and it was just like, girl, you, this is not the same as our neighbours and trading partners. Like, no disrespect to these countries, but they're on the other side of the planet. And, like, it's going to take a long time to get trade between the two, and it's environmentally unhealthy as well, making all that trade going from one side to another as well. Doesn't it make more sense to be working with next door neighbours, really, doesn't it? But no, we don't want to go working with our neighbours right next to us. No. We got to go down to the we got to go to the other side of the town and trade with the people on the other side of the town. Excuse me, because that's what they want to do. It doesn't make any sense to me, guys. You try and put this into logical terms for me, because I don't seem to understand whatsoever here. Just seems to baffles me. But it's even worse, because apparently it's even worse, even less now. So let's read into it. So the flagship post-Brexit trade deal is worth even less than previously full official estimates have shown. The Business Secretary Kemi Badenoch was mocked for a prediction that the deal with the Asia-Pacific countries would grow the economy by 0.08%. But she staunchly defended the agreement, hailed in a blaze of publicity as part of a new global Britain strategy. Did the right wing, like, if I remember, like the likes of the Daily Mail, the Telegraph, and the Express, did they have like hailed this as like a massive boom or something? It was like 200 billion boom or something for the economy or something, like the complete made up numbers out of nowhere. Do you guys remember that? I don't know if they were. I'm sure they had like massive post-Brexit trade deals, and we're off for new heights and all this kind of malarkey. It's just a magical number, no meaning whatsoever to them. But new figures from the Office of Budget Responsibility suggest joining the comprehensive and progressive agreements for the Trans-Pacific Partnership, the CPTPP, could add just 0.04% to GDP in the long run after 15 years. So she missed it off by about 4%. She was just off by 4%. She was off by 4%. Can we give her the benefit of the doubt? No, we're not going to give her the benefit of the doubt. The figures were contained in documents released alongside last week's autumn's statement. The two other deals with Australia and New Zealand might increase the level of real GDP by a combined 0.1% by 2035. Yeah, while at the same time killing some of our own British industry in the process. Just saying. Just make it harder for our British farmers. Make it more difficult for them, because that's essentially what we're doing. We're throwing our own people under the bus. The OBR also calculates that the economy will be 4% smaller if the UK had stayed in the EU. The trade expert David Henig said that while entry into the CPTPP had been presented as a huge victory for the UK, its impact has been hugely overhyped. Some companies will benefit, but the effects will be very, very small, he told The Observer. When she announced the deal on the UK entry into CPTPP, Ms Badenoch said it would bring significant benefits to the UK. I think she meant to say significant benefits to Australia, New Zealand, in all the Asia Pacific countries. I don't think she was meant to say to the UK. I think she got the countries mixed up there when she said significant benefits. She responded to mockery of the 0.08% figure by saying her department estimate was probably too low and ignored some benefits. But The Independent revealed earlier this year that officials working on the CPTPP deal changed their usual approach to calculate the GDP's figures and instead used a model that generates larger estimate GDP impacts according to the government's own documentation. The technical document published by the Department of International Trade said officials could not employ their usual approach to calculating their GDP benefit of a deal, known as a biscuit-style model, because there were too many unknown variables. Instead, it used a so-called Armageddon-style model, in which the document notes tend to procure higher GDP figures for a given free trade agreement. Oh, what a shame they didn't give it the accurate number. At the same time, Sam Lopes, a trade expert and senior visiting fellow at the King's Policy Institute, told The Independent that while the approach to the government is perfectly credible, the change in methodology does not seem to have been made with the intention of making the GDP figures sound more impressive. The Department of Business and Trade had been approached for comment. The Department of Business Trade spokesman has said, as the Trade Secretary saying when signing the deal, the benefits of the CPTPP will increase significantly the more businesses use it. Yes, it will significantly improve if businesses using it. However, it's going to cost a lot of money for them, and it's not exact. And the benefits don't outweigh being part of the European Union. They just don't. There's still going to be red tape. There's still going to be processes, and they're just asking us to lower our standards. That's essentially, our standards are going to be lower because of this as well. I think that's a very big point that I've missed out here about the lower of standards that these nations have in comparison to us. I would like to think. I think last time I talked about this deal, I would have liked to have thought that perhaps Britain could improve the standards of those within this CPTPP and try and raise their standards. But I can't. But Britain, I just don't see Britain doing that. It would be great if they could, but I don't see them doing that, having the opposite effect of actually raising the standards of other nations to their level. But I don't think that's going to happen, if I'm honest. I just think it's going to be in the opposite direction it's going to happen, especially with this government. How are Labour going to respond to this deal? Now, are they going to keep going on with it, or are they going to look to try and reverse this CPTPP deal as well? I think that's a question that needs to be asked as well, because every time we always have to ask ourselves, what would Labour do? How are Labour going to approach this? Because if they're going to be the next incoming government, we need to know what exactly their plans, what's their approach to this deal. But more money going down the drain. We should never have left the EU. We know that, and we've talked about it here. We talked about it in many other YouTube channels and commentators, and it's been talked to death, of course. But it's kind of just a kick in the teeth, when we have this new deal, and they said one thing, and they find out it's even worth even less. So it's kind of just a bit of a damp squid even more when you think about it in the long term. What do you guys make of it? Do you honestly think that there's any benefits whatsoever to being part of the CPTPP? If I've mispronounced those letters, you can correct me in the comments. Is there any benefit at all? Do you actually think there is any inkling of a chance that perhaps, just maybe, that Britain could raise their standards? Just going to put that question in there to you guys. What do you honestly think? Let me know your thoughts. Hit the like button, be greatly appreciated. Share this across social media and hit that bell notification icon so you'll be notified of when I go live or when I upload another video. And if you want to financially support me, which I greatly appreciate, you can do so by buying me a coffee or joining me on Patreon. Both the links are in the descriptions. Thank you very much for watching. I hope to catch you all very, very soon.